Okay. Clearing the air after dark. Celtics versus Mavericks game 2 instant reaction. We are back. Like I said, I wasn't sure if I was going to do an instant reaction, but I figured, you know what? What the hell? Why not? Game 2, Celtics defeat the Mavericks 105-98. A little bit more. If you are Dallas, this is kind of what you want from a scoring standpoint. You want this to be a little bit uglier of a game, because if you're scoring a lot of points, that means that Boston's making a lot of threes. And if Boston's making a lot of threes, you're in trouble, right? Like, you don't want Boston making a ton of threes. So let's go ahead and hop into it. At halftime, it was 54-51. I remember thinking at half, like, okay, Dallas has played pretty well defensively, and they're still down 3. And so it was kind of like, oof. I felt a little iffy. Dallas gave away a couple of possessions. I want to say it was 97-89. PJ Washington had the ball. He had like one, and then he was dribbling up the court, had 1 foot across half court, and tried to pass it back to Luka, but Luka saw, oh shit, there is 8 seconds, about the 8-second violation, so I got to throw it across, turn the ball over. What happens? Drew Holiday hits a 3. Very next possession, Derek White hits a 3. You go from down 97-89 to down 103-89. Now you're down 14, right? Late in the fourth quarter. Celtics down 103-98. They get a stop. Derrick Jones Jr. with a huge block, and then they come down the court, pass the ball. Of course, that's going to be the topic of conversation tomorrow. Did PJ Washington get fouled? The NBA is probably going to come out and say, oh, the referees missed that call. We know how that goes. They're going to come out and say, oh, we missed this call, and it's not going to fucking matter because it's still 2-0 no matter what the NBA says. And so why even come out in the first place? But anyway, do I think that call should have been called? I mean, I'm someone who feels like if it's a foul, you should call it. I'm someone who feels like in the playoffs, fouls, you kind of got to be a little bit different with the fouls. What's a foul? The definition of a foul changes. But the whole idea of you can't call that call in this moment type thing, to me, is not really I don't really subscribe to that. So if it's a foul, you got to call it. Somebody getting pushed in the back, getting nudged in the back is probably a foul. I can also see, though, how in the, we got to remember, we have the, luxury of seeing replay and seeing it in slow motion and seeing, oh, he clearly pushed such and such. But real speed, full speed, I don't know if anybody watched the play live and said, oh, that's a foul. Why didn't you call that? Some people might have. If you're a Dallas fan, you might have called that. You might be like, how is he just missing a dunk? You blah, blah, blah. But I think that, overall, we probably weren't, super, oh, my God, that's a clear foul. How could you not call that, right? And then when you're in the moment, you're in the heat of it all, it just looked like 2 guys went up for the ball. All 3 guys met at the rim, and there were 2 trying to block it, 1 trying to dunk it, and it just got blocked. That's what it looked like, so I'm not, blaming that on the referees, okay? But at the end of the day, Dallas is now down 2-0. As you guys know, anybody who might have heard our episode earlier or whatever, I picked Dallas to win this game. I picked Dallas to win this series in 6, and now I picked Dallas to win this game to make it 1-1. It's now 2-0, clearly. And Dallas is in trouble. Right? Let's go over a few things. So number 1, Jason Tatum had 18 points, 12 assists, and 9 rebounds. So remember, game 1, let me look it up. Game 1, Jason Tatum had 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. So what Jason Tatum has decided is, hey, it doesn't necessarily matter if I go crazy on the offensive end. I need to do all the other things because that's what's going to help us win. That is why, if you guys had listened to any previous episodes, that's why I kind of voted okay, Jaylen Brown wins Finals MVP if the Celtics win. Excuse me, get a little sneeze out. Jaylen Brown wins Finals MVP because Tatum doesn't give a shit about being the star. Oh yeah, it's clear that it was me. I'm the superstar, put the team on my back. Tatum just wants to win. Jason Tatum just wants to win. So if that means Jaylen Brown gets the MVP, so I do all the other stuff, cool. But also, he had 11 rebounds last game, 9 this game, so he's averaging 10. 5 assists last game, 12 this game, so he's averaging 8.5. And he had 16 points last game at 18. So he's averaging 17 points, 8.5 rebounds, 8.5 assists, and 10 rebounds. He's averaging damn near a triple-double. Jaylen Brown's averaging 21.5 or something like that. He had 21 tonight. I think he had 22 last game. Jason Tatum might still be in the front running for MVP. Drew Holiday today, 26 points and 11 rebounds. They're getting rebounds from the one. Okay, so a couple things. Sorry. Let me not jump around here. Big stats, 105-98 was the score. Luka, 32, 11, and 11. Luka played well. He definitely started out hot. I think 23 first half points. 9 second half points is huge. Boston came out, made an adjustment. And Dallas didn't necessarily adjust to what they assumed the adjustment would be. See, the thing about coaching is, okay, a team come out, smack you in the mouth. Oh, I see what the problem is. Let's address it. Let's fix it. Okay, but what happens when you're the team that's having a lot of success doing one thing or the other? You have to predict, okay, this is what they're going to do to stop what we're doing. Let's now go ahead and have the plan in place. Now, if they don't stop what we're doing, we'll just keep on doing it. Let's go ahead and have the plan in place. It feels like in this series, Dallas is very, very reliant and dependent on making shots. And that is what Boston's whole, steez is. You're going to shoot the ball, but there's going to be a hand in your face every time. We got Jaylen Brown, who can play defense. Jason Tatum, big body. Drew Holiday for a guard, big body. Derek White for a guard, pretty big body. It's not going to be easy shots. There's no easy shots against us. And for the second game in a row, it's felt like Dallas has to work so hard. They got to work so hard to get shots. Easy shots, hard shots, whatever. But just to get the ball up, it just feels hard. Right? So Luka, 32, 11, and 11. He played well. But Kyrie Irving, 16 points on 7 for 18 shooting. Look, dog, real talk, that's not going to get it done. That's not going to get it done. I'm sorry. Kyrie Irving's going to have to do more and be better at a higher clip. He's going to have to be more efficient. And the reality of it is, guys, newsflash, the size of Boston isn't going anywhere. Do you remember when Toronto beat Golden State? I know Kevin Durant was hurt, and he came back, then he ended up tearing his Achilles. But the thing about Toronto was, oh my God, they're so long. Pascal Siakam, Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol, Kawhi Leonard. They're just long. That's not going anywhere. It is hard to adjust to that. You can't add, you're not adding more guys to your roster, and nothing you can do can combat their length. Kristaps Porzingis, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, they're long as hell. So if you're not getting to the basket and getting layups, you're at a disadvantage. And if you are getting layups, you know what that means you're not doing? Shooting threes, right? You can't get a three and a layup in the same possession. It is hard. Kyrie Irving is a smaller guard, 16 points on 18 shots. Gafford, 13 and 9. Derek Lively, 2 points. I'm telling you, Derek Lively's not going to just get the ball, back you down, and score. That's going to be the next elevation of his game. You can choose. Okay, do I want to be DeAndre Jordan, where it's all about defensive presence and rolling to the basket? Do I want to be Rudy Gobert, who is virtually like a upgraded DeAndre Jordan? Or do I want to be Nikola Vucevic? I think his first name's Nikola, but Vucevic from the Bulls. Pekovic, the old center from the Timberwolves, where I've got a little bit of offensive game here. That's going to be the next step. But right now, when all your game is rim running, screening, and catching lobs, we've loved how Derek Lively's played all season. We've loved that he has played Basically, you got two guys in Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively trying to play the Tyson Chandler role. Tyson Chandler is one guy who could give you, let's see, combined today they had 13 points and 19. Where's Gafford? Okay, sorry. 15 points and 16 rebounds combined. Tyson Chandler could do that by himself. They are combined. Gafford played 23 minutes. Lively played 19. So it's just really just between the two of them. They can't play together, obviously, because they can't shoot. This is what happens. You got a Boston team who's versatile. And today, this is what should scare you if you're Dallas. Like I said, they played a great first half. Luka played a great first half, and they were down 3 at half. I remember writing it down like, the Mavericks should be worried about this game right now. The game was close. They probably will win one game in Dallas blowout fashion, the way that Boston won one, where they're just going to get hot, and they're going to ride the crowd, and nothing's going to go Boston's way, and they're going to win one. The key is that the one game that can go back and forth, the way this game could have went either way, the one game in Dallas that goes either way, they got to win, because if they don't, they're going to be down 3-1. That's just the way it goes. And they got to figure something out, because the reality of it is Jason Tatum hasn't blown up for 30 points yet, 35 points yet in the playoffs, in the series. Al Horford hasn't blown up yet. He had 5.7 rebounds tonight. Kristaps had 12 points tonight. He wasn't going crazy like he was last game. And you still couldn't find a way to get this one. And I understand you're on the road. Technically, like, all right, all you got to do is win one on the road as long as you take care of home court. But you've been better at home. You've almost been better on the road than you've been at home. So you haven't won one on the road yet. That's where it gets tricky. And that's where it gets scary. Okay? But Boston's beating you with 8 guys. They're playing one big off the bench, and then they're playing Pritchard and Hauser. Why are they doing that? So they can continue to just switch. You're going to have to figure out, if you're Dallas, you're going to have to figure out how to play outside of the pick and roll game. You're going to have to figure out how to generate offense other than pick and roll. One of the things J.J. Redick said on the broadcast was Dallas has been focused on getting offense quicker. Transition, whether you just made a bucket, now we need to transition, get down the court, and get a shot up early. Just find a good shot. You got to do something, because when that Boston defense gets set, it's a lot harder to score, especially when your one offense is pick and roll. I got some friends I play 2K with. I'm not good at 2K24 no more. Like 2K no more. 2K24, I'm trash. I was trash at. I was worse at 2K. I was not as bad, but I was bad at 2K23. Not as bad at that as I was at not as bad at 2K22 as 20. Every year I've been getting worse. Right? I think my peak year was like 2K20 or whatever it was. But my game now in 2K24 is pick and roll. That's it. I can't really do it. I'm not good at the one-on-one game, making a move, shooting the pull-up mid-ranges, the step backs. I'm not good at any of that stuff. So what happens is when I play somebody, they're like, all right, cool, I'm going to guard you, and I only have to guard you one way, and I don't really have to guard you any other way. And eventually, sure, you might be hanging with me for a little while. In the first quarter, oh, cool. Yeah, I'm down 21-15. But the second quarter, he beats me 24-6. Right? Or 23-2. Because eventually there's going to come a time where I'm not making shots and my whole game is predicated on tough buckets, and I can't make the tough buckets. I can't make the buckets that I had to do a step back, some crazy shot. And it's the same thing with Dallas right now. Everything for them is tough. One of the things that I felt hurt, like made me not want to pick Boston, which was the same thing that I felt when they played Golden State, and the same thing I just feel all year long, is like they don't get enough easy buckets. They don't get enough easy buckets. Everything is too hard. And it almost seems like they're just like, hey, just make every shot tough. And if Luka scores 30, even if he gets a triple-double, that's fine. But as long as nobody else scores 20, we're going to be okay, because you will. And they have the roster built to make, okay, you're not going to do this pick and roll stuff because we're just going to switch. You're not going to do the lobs. And we're just going to make you make a tough bucket over whoever's guarding you because, quite frankly, 1 through 6, because you got, again, Tatum Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, and then Horford and Porzingis. There's your 6. 1 through 6 can guard well enough to where they make you shoot over somebody. They're not going to shut nobody down. If you put Kyrie on Porzingis for an entire game, eventually Kyrie will figure it out, but it's going to be tough. And in spurts, we can make it to where, like Kristaps won this possession. Of every 10 possessions, Kristaps might win 3. Kyrie wins 7. But if we can make it to where we don't have 10 possessions, we only have 3. All right, well, now if Kristaps wins 1, that's 33% of the possessions he won. Versus if out of 10 he wins 3, that's only 30%. That's where you get the analytics. That's where you get the numbers. That's why teams shoot all these threes. It's all about the numbers, the analytics, the percentages. 3 is worth more than 2. 3-point shots tonight. Let's see. So Boston shot 10 for 39. They made 10 threes. And they shot, 3 for 14? 3 for 15 at one point? 2 for 14? Something crazy like that? Dallas shot 6 for 26. Dallas, look, they got to make threes. You can't go 6 for 26 and 4 of your threes came from Luka. Dante Exum made a 3, his only bucket of the game, by the way. And PJ Washington went 1 for 5. Derrick Jones Jr., again, it seems like he only makes threes at home. So we'll see what games 3 and 4 look like. 0 for 3. Kyrie, 0 for 3. Obviously, Gafford and Lively didn't shoot. Maxi Kleber, 0 for 2. Josh Green, 0 for 3. Luka went 4 for 9. Somebody, guys, your team is predicated on Luka. Luka is what makes your guys better who are your role players, and it might not be enough. I picked Dallas to win this in 6 because I thought it was more about Boston as opposed to being about Dallas. So Dallas is down 2-0. But again, when you lose 2 games, they were both on the road. All right, well, again, you only have to win 1 on the road. They're going to get game 5. Well, considering that they're necessary, you're still going to get game 5 and you're still going to get game 7 on the road. But, Boston, this was the night. Boston shot 25.6% from 3. This was the night. I told y'all, Boston loves the threes. They fall in love with the threes. This was the night that you're supposed to win. They scored 105 points. And you couldn't do it. That's dangerous. Dallas, you got to figure something out. Jason Kidd, you got to figure something out. Because this is where it gets tricky because you did what you were supposed to do. They didn't shoot crazy. They didn't go, game 1, they go crazy from 3. All right, well, what are you going to do? Right? Game 2, they didn't. And you still lost. And when it came down the stretch, here's what you couldn't do. When you were down 8 and you had the ball, you turn the ball over, and then you end up giving up 6 straight points to get down 14. Where you're down 5, you had the ball, and whether you want to call it a controversial call or not, you didn't score when you had a 2-on-1 fast break. And so this is where it comes down to, well, let's reverse it. Well, what if it was Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? Do they score? What if it was Jason Tatum and Drew Holiday? Do they score? What if it was Derek White and Jason Tatum? Do they score? What if it was Jaylen Brown and Derek White? Do they score? You know what I'm saying? And that's where it just comes down to, okay, yeah, it was Kyrie and PJ Washington. If it was Kyrie and Luka, do they score? We could probably assume so. But clearly, if it was Kyrie and PJ, they don't. If it was Kyrie and Derek Lively, do they score? This is where it comes down to just better players. I thought that the Mavericks were going to win because at some point, the faults of the Celtics would show. The things that don't matter so much in a long regular season, like the thing that doesn't matter when you play the Hawks 4 times, when you play the Spurs twice, when you play, that stuff that you can kind of get away with, those bad habits, those lulls, those terrible half of quarters, that those mistakes are magnified in the playoffs and especially in the finals. That stuff I thought would haunt Boston, so I'm not going to veer away from the Mavericks just yet. I had Mavericks in 6. I thought they were going to win game 2. I kind of assumed they'd lose game one just purely off of the fact that they typically lose game ones. But now, obviously, if they lose game three, the series is over. But Dallas has got to figure something out. And it can't just come down to tough shot making, because that's not going to sustain you for 7 games or 6 games or 5 games or 4 games. It's just not. You're not going to win if every shot you have to make has to be tough. You got to get some easy buckets. If that means, hey, we got to pick up our pace, you got to pick up your pace. The Pacers, it's just funny because they're named the Pacers. The Pacers play at a fast pace. That means there's a lot of possessions. There's a lot of chances to make shots for them, and there's a lot of chances to miss shots for their opponent. You might have to pick up the pace. I don't know. But right now, playing the way you're playing, Dallas can get swept. Do I think they will get swept? No. Dallas could get swept. So we'll see how it goes. That's the instant reaction. Dallas Mavericks are now down 2-0. I got them. I had them in 6, but I had them winning this game. So now I got to push it back to Dallas in 7. We'll see how they go. We'll see how they adjust. We've seen teams go up 2-0 and lose 4-2. We've seen teams go up 3-1 and lose 4-3. We've seen teams go up or tie 1-1, go up 1-0, lose 4-1. It's not like we haven't seen teams who lose 4 in a row. So it's going to be interesting. Jason Kidd, man, you got some work to do. Kyrie Irving, 16 points on 7 for 18 shooting. And what did he do the game before? 12 points on what was the shot percentage? 12 points in game 1 on 6 for 19 shooting. That's not going to get it done, man. That's not going to get it done. Instant reaction, game 2. Celtics up 2-0 on the Dallas Mavericks NBA Finals. See you soon.